the signs or symbols of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, the Sha'air Husainiyya, as they call it. We look in the Quran, in another ayah, Allah says, Inna Safa wal Marwata min Sha'air Allah. Verily, Safa and Marwa are from the signs of Allah. The mountains that we see in Mecca and Hajj, they go between the mountains. These mountains Allah calls them as signs and symbols. And we have other ayat where it says the camel of Nabi Salih alayhi salam is a symbol of Allah. So these things, inanimate objects like a mountain, and then we also have the camel, they're both termed as signs of Allah. So if Safa and Marwa, these mountains, can be termed as signs of Allah, how can someone say that Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are not signs of Allah? When Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are greater than the whole universe. We even see in narrations that Imam Hussain alayhi salam, from his nur, from his light, Allah created the women of paradise and Jannah itself from the light of Imam Hussain. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So the question comes to mind, people ask, we have people who oppose us all the time from whoever it may be, Wahhabi, Salafi, or anyone, they say, why do you Shia come and mourn Imam Hussain after all of this time? What's so special about Imam Hussain that you come and you beat your chest and you mourn and you cry loud, and what is this stuff? Why do you do that? And even non-Muslims, they come and they ask us about that. But if we look at a narration from Imam Bakr alayhi salam, Imam Bakr said, the Prophet once gazed at Imam Hussain while he was in front of him, and then sat him on his lap and said, verily, for the martyrdom of Hussain there is a heat in the hearts of the believers that shall never be extinguished. In another time he said in regards to Imam Hussain alayhi salam, no believer remembers him except that he weeps for him. So in the hearts of the Shia, we have something special that might not be in the hearts of the people who oppose us. They can't understand it. What the Prophet said in the hearts of the believers is a fire that never dies. It's a flame in our hearts. We always love Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Even like some people, they don't want to wear black clothes for too long, or like for the morning for your family, they only wear it for a few days. But when we look at when Muharram comes, we can't wait to wear black. We wear black for all of Muharram and Safar. We wear black when we remember these tragedies of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So when we mourn Ahlul Bayt, we mourn Imam Hussain, it reminds us of the suffering and the trials and tribulations that he went through in order to preserve this religion from corruption. And it revives the love in our heart every year. We come year after year, and it revives that in us and that pledge that we have with Imam, and it gives us a strong connection with Imam. That we will always uphold his virtues and his values and strive to live like Imam Hussain alayhi salam. When we look at the narrations, we see that even the heavens and the earth and the angels and the jinn and all of creation wept for Imam Hussain. Everybody. So it's nothing strange that we come and we weep and we cry for Imam Hussain. All of creation weep for Imam Hussain. Imam Bakr alayhi salam says, mankind, birds and the beast all shed tears and cried over the martyrdom of Hussain ibn Ali. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, verily, when Abi Abdullah Hussain died, the seven heavens and the seven earth and everything within them, everything between them, and everyone that circulates around them, paradise, hell, and everything that our Lord has created from among that which can be seen, and even the things that can be seen, everything cried for him. This can be found in popular books such as Kamil Ziyarat. We have many narrations. The English book is 700 pages full of these narrations like this. So it's not just one or two strange narrations. Now that we've covered that, I'd like to go into some of the sha'air Hussainiyya, such as crying for Imam Hussain alayhi salam. When the people who oppose us, they say that crying is forbidden altogether in general. And this is harsh. I mean, how can you say you won't even cry for your mother, your father, or what? This is strange, Arjun. You can't do this. We have emotions. We're not like some barbaric people, that we see today, like the ISIS and people like this. They kill without care of anybody. We have feelings. Like we said, there's a flame in our heart for Imam Hussain alayhi salam. But we can look in the Quran, this argument that they have is batil, is nothing. We see that in the Quran, Allah says there are certain places that people cry. They cry for fear of Allah. Some people cry for the fear of Allah. Some people, they cry over their own sins and the fear of the hellfire. Some people, they cried when they heard the Quran. Such as the Christians. We have the ayah about the Christians. They said when the Christian priests hear the Quran, their eyes, they tear up. Then we have the crying due to loss and separation. We have Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam, Prophet Jacob. He cried for so long for Nabi Yusuf when his son left that he went blind. He cried this long. And Allah doesn't condemn it in the Quran. He says this is something like it's a praiseworthy thing that he cried for this long, So this is all from Quran, so no one can reject the Quran. Everyone agrees on Quran. And we can look at a hadith as well. Imam Rida alayhi salam says, Whosoever remembers the tragedies that befell us and weeps shall be in the same rank as us on the day of judgment. Wow, that's heavy words. Whoever weeps for Imam Hussain and the tragedy that befell the Ahlul Bayt will be on the same rank as the Ahlul Bayt on the day of judgment. And whoever recalls our tragedies and weeps and makes others weep and cry, he shall not cry on the day that the eyes shall be tearful. And whoever participates in a gathering whereby our remembrance is revived, his heart will not die on the day that the heart shall die. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, whoever remembers us and makes others remember our tragedies and sheds tears, even if it may be the size of a wing of a mosquito, Allah will forgive him and all his sins, even though they may be as much as the foams in the sea. Just one small tear, everything is wiped away and you start fresh. This is a miracle of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Another narration, Imam Sadiq says, whoever sheds a tear out of grief for our blood that was spilled and for our rights that were usurped or for our sanctity which was violated or for any of our shi'as, then Allah shall reserve for him a seat in paradise for all eternity. Cry for Imam Hussain, Jannah. This is what the Imam is saying. Even if you can't bring yourself to tears, some people they can't, I don't know, sometimes they can't cry right away or something. We even have narration that said to act like they're crying and to pretend like you're crying. There's still thawab in this, even not crying. Just acting like you're crying and feeling and showing sorrow for the tragedy that befell Imam Hussain alayhi salam still has thawab. We have some people, it's very strange, they say, don't raise your voices and don't cry for Imam Hussain. You can cry, but don't cry loud. There's no need to cry loud, no need to weep, no need to wail. It's a barbaric act, or this was a long time ago, we're 21st century, we're civilized, we shouldn't cry loud. But on the contrary, Imam Sadiq was seen in the state of sajda. And he said, "O Lord, Ya Rabb, have mercy on those faces that have become sunburnt, and those cheeks that have rubbed up against the grave of Abu Abdullah, and have mercy upon those eyes that shed tears out of grief for us. Have mercy on those hearts who have become distressed and burned with anguish. and have mercy upon those who wail and lament us. O my Lord, indeed I entrust those bodies and souls to you until you allow them at the pond of Kawthar on the day of thirst. So we see Imam and Sadiq alayhi salam in Sajda, he sent blessings and highly praised those who wail and lament. And wail isn't just a normal cry. Wail is raising your voices and crying like you feel it inside of you. We have some people that, if we look at tragedies, we can see that it affects us differently. I'll give you an example. If you hear about someone down the street from you and you don't know them that well, and they passed away, or their child passed away, or you see it on the news, you don't know them, you say, oh, that's very sad, I feel sorry for those people, and khalas, that's it. Now, imagine if that person was related to you, if it was your mother or your father or your son or your cousin or your aunt or your uncle, it's closer to you. So you're going to cry and it's going to affect you more. But like Sayyid was saying in his speech a few nights ago, in the first night I came, he was saying that we should love Ahlul Bayt more than our own family and our own self. So this should move us to tears as loud as we can and cry with all of our soul. In Dua Nutba, we see that Imam Mahdi Ajallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif said, it is upon the most purified of the purified from the progeny of Muhammad and Ali should the weepers cry, and for them they should lament, and upon them should the mourners shriek and clamor in a heart-rending manner out of grief and anguish. Is there any distressed one whom I may share my anguish with when he is alone? Is there any eye weeping of a thorn that such my eye may sympathize with it? So we see from the Imam Sahaba Zaman alayhi salam, that he said, this is our Imam of our time, that he said they should weep and lament in a loud way and shriek and clamor in a heart-rending manner. So we have many narrations that prove that crying is recommended for Imam Hussain. Another sha'ir is wearing black clothes. We have some narrations that say we shouldn't wear black clothes, and other groups of people come to us and say, you Shia, you shouldn't dress in black, it's not recommended, it's haram to wear black clothes. But we do have narration. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, do not wear black, for it was the dress of Fir'aun, lanatullah alayhi. And if you look at it from, they say that wearing black would be forbidden if you want to make it for the intention of being like Fir'aun, but not wearing black in general. And it's makruh to wear black clothing generally, but for mourning it's recommended to show one's grief, and it puts you in a certain state. If you wear black clothes for a number of days, it just puts you in the mood of the mourning. And other people see you wearing black. If you go to work wearing black for 1 week, people are going to say, well, it's strange. What are you wearing black for every single day? They're going to ask you about it, and then it gives you the chance to tell other people, your co-workers, or the people you go to school with, or your friends, or anyone. You get the chance. That opens the door to tell them why you're wearing black. You can tell them about the tragedy, and inshallah their hearts will be moved in the same way that our hearts are moved. And also we see many narrations that the Imams wore black. They wore black amama, they wore black robe, they wore black dishdasha, black abba, from the 1st of Muharram to the 9th of Rabi al-Awwal. And a lot of people, they come and they criticize all of the Sha'ar Hussainiyya that we do from outside of our sect. They come and criticize why we do these things. And we look from a fiqh perspective, and we see that there's no legitimacy to their claims. Because Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says everything is permissible until a prohibition is established regarding it. So as long as no one can provide a prohibition, they can't say whatever we do is wrong. This being said, we can't say that a thing is haram just because we don't agree with it. If it's not wajib, then you don't have to do it. But you shouldn't discourage others from doing it and criticize others for what their marja may allow them to do. Because some things might not sit well with people, but maybe they don't understand it. Or maybe their marja said they shouldn't do it. But we shouldn't criticize other people for what their marja can do. They're only following what they have done upon their research. So we shouldn't criticize other people and say things are haram if we have no proof that they're haram. Our emotions aren't enough proof to say something is haram. Because what if you're discouraging someone from mourning Imam Hussain and you said you can't do it in that way, don't do that. And you're discouraging someone from reaching their goal of getting closeness to Imam Hussain. Imagine if you're discouraging them from something, you thought it was haram, but actually it was halal. And then you go on Day of Judgment, Imam Hussain, you have to answer, why did you tell this person, so-and-so, my Shia, that he shouldn't do this in this way, and remember me in this way? What would be the answer? I wouldn't want to know. It would be better for us to refrain from things of that nature. And there's different ways that people commemorate the tragedy of Ashura, and they connect themselves to Imam Hussain. I'm not going to talk long tonight, so I'm going to end this shortly, inshallah. We have the act of Latan that we see here every night. Latan Muqaddas, we see every night. We beat our chest for Imam Hussain alayhi salam. The people ask us, why do we beat our chest? And you see the youth here, the Shabab, they beat their chest hard, mashallah. They hit it hard. And you know why they do this? It's because we remember the horses that trampled on the chest of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. When all of the other families, they saw their dead lying in the plains of Karbala, they claimed their people, and they said, no, don't trample him, their tribe, they took them. But when it came to Imam Hussain alayhi salam, no one claimed him. And they led the horses, they trampled on his chest. Ya Allah. Imagine the horses trampling on the chest of the one Allah appointed on this earth as the Imam of all of creation, and they treated him like this. This is why we beat our chest hard. When other people say, you shouldn't do that, you look like a barbaric act. We remember those horse hoofs, we hit our chest hard, and remembering the body that was trampled in the plains of Karbala. Some people, they walk on, if you've ever seen, they walk on fire or they walk on thorns. They remember the tragedy when the people came and they burnt the tents of the women of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salam. And they had to run from one tent to the other tent while the tents were on fire and the thorns were in the desert, and they had to march from Karbala to Sham. They had to walk barefoot and they walked on thorns. Some people, they come and they lay the thorns and they walk on these things to gain closeness and feel how they feel. You can see many people in Ziyarah al-Arba'in, they walk barefoot to remember how Lady Zainab had to walk. We see some people, they come with chains and they strike their back with chains. And they say, why do you do this? So strange. Why should you hit yourself with the chains? They say that you shouldn't, Allah says, don't cause harm to yourself with your own hand. They use this ayah, don't cause harm to yourself with your own hand. But we look in the tafsir and the ayah, it says that the people, when they went for jihad, they had money and they didn't want to spend in the way of Allah. And that's what this ayah was for. They didn't want to spend the money And Allah sent the ayah down that you're destroying yourself by your own hand by not giving what you had for jihad. And also the jurists, they bring proofs that say from this that suicide is haram. And but is no proof for the temporary harm of oneself. And we can see many things that could disprove that. The temporary harm then goes away. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He used to pray until his ankles were swollen. If it was haram for us to have some temporary harm, Rasulullah wouldn't pray until his ankles swole. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam wouldn't prostrate until he has a huge mark on his forehead and his ankles swell as well. They wouldn't do these types of things. This is one way, and there's many other ways, but to save time, I'm going to continue on. Like I was saying, some people hit their back with the chain. And they do this to remember the whips that Imam Sajjad and the women of Ahlul Bayt were whipped with on their way to Sham. Imagine Imam Sajjad with a collar around his neck and have chains on him, and he was sick already so much to the point that he couldn't even fight because he was too sick, and they came and had to rush him out of the tent because they were burning the tents. And they make him march in these chains and they whip him with whips. It hurts to think about what our Imams went through. And after I showed up, some slapped their faces. You see here, some slapped their head and they slapped their face very hard, especially in the Farsi Latmiya, you see this a lot. And they remember the faces of the daughters of Imam Hussain, Sakina and Ruqayya, as they were slapped by these animals, these shayateen in human bodies that surrounded Ahlul Bayt and put them through all of these troubles and tribulations. Can you imagine? You have a baby, a small child. You have a small child that's so close to you. Imagine the child of Imam Hussain and they slap Sakina and Ruqayya and they pull the earrings from their ears until they bleed. Then we have some people that come even further and they strike their head with swords. Remember how Sayyid Shuhada was struck with swords. They see how Lady Zainab struck her head on the carriage from the distress of everything that she witnessed on those days. And we see that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, he was there and he said nothing. Even though it caused her head to bleed, he didn't say anything. And he's Imam, he has to say something if it's haram. He didn't. And that shows the permissibility. If the Imam sits silent and while he sees something, it means it's permissible. Because it's wajib on him to do Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar. So if he didn't oppose, then who are we to oppose? But if someone comes and they don't agree with it, they'll just let them refrain. And because these people that do all of these things, they have their proof. These are just some proofs. There's many other proofs and many books that have been written about all of these things. And the points I want to bring is just to show that we do these things, when people ask, we do these things to become closer to Imam. We all have our own way and we come closer to Imam. Some of us may cry, some of us may just wear black, some of us may do latam, some may use chains, whatever they do. Each and every one of us, they have our own way of getting closer to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Tonight I want to remember Lady Zainab alayhi salam, alayha salam. How can we even imagine what Lady Zainab went through? She went through so much, she hit her head with the carriage, which even caused blood from her head to flow. Imagine all of the things that Lady Zainab saw from all of those days. How much patience she must have had. Let's rewind a little bit and go back in time. She saw so much throughout her life. Imagine Zainab in the house when they came with the fire and they burned the door of her mother. Imagine what she had to see when her mother was pushed behind the door. Sayyidah Fatima Zahra alayha salam was pushed behind the door. Imagine how Zainab felt having to watch her mother go through these things. I can't imagine all the fire and the smoke in the house from the door and seeing her mother being crushed. What hurts even more is when you're a little child and her mother was pregnant. She was probably just waiting for the new baby to come, to see Mourn. She was waiting for Mourn to come. And then to see Mourn have to be killed in that manner and her mother hurt. And her mother died shortly after this. Ya Zainab, it must have been so hard to go through this. Yes, she continued living with her father, Imam Ali alayhi salam. And then when he was struck on his head with the sword in Masjid al-Kufa, she had to go through again. Ya Zainab, she went through this again. She saw her father on the deathbed with the sword, the cut from the sword, dying. But Ya Zainab, how could you imagine seeing the head of your brother Imam Hussain alayhi salam on the top of a spear? Ya Allah, I can't imagine what Zainab went through. She had to watch Qasim die. She had to watch him cut to pieces. She had to see the hands of Abu Fadl cut and laying in the plains of Karbala. How could she even watch her own children, Aoun and Muhammad, laying in the plains of Karbala, her own flesh and blood, and have to get marched from Karbala all the way to Sham? How can she imagine all of the pain she had to go through to see Imam Hussain alayhi salam's chest trampled by the horses? إن لله وإنا عليه راجعون. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم والعن عذابهم.
اللهم صل على